Welcome to Dear Alice, a lifestyle approach to interior design.
Hi everyone, welcome to Dear Alice. Today we have our best friend in real estate, guru, Rob Corcoran on with us again. And he has a high-end boutique real estate firm that he relocates people all over the United States of America. So he's really good, not just for Utah, but he's really good for all of you across the nation in talking about the market. We've had tons of questions come in from our social media channel, and we wanted to take this second episode to be able to answer all of your questions that we have for Rob.
We'll call it Dear Rob. Dear Alice.
Well, thank you for having me, and
Dear
thank you for having me back.
Yes,
Absolutely.
that's great. So, Corey, do you want to kick us off with the first question?
Yes. Am I giving handles? Should we give handles?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
that's great.
So this is from Alexa Bennett Real Estate. She asks, what return do you see for homeowners whom sell in professionally staged?
That's a great question. Professionally staged, and I would say updated, added to that probably. You can see anywhere from 7 to 10% easily. Makes a huge
That's a big
difference.
jump.
Oh, it's a huge jump. Right now, what we're seeing, and I alluded to it in the last podcast, but people are particular on what they're buying now, right? The heyday of just buying a home to buy a home is over. People are doing inspections. They want to make sure that home's in really good condition before they spend their hard-earned money on the property. So there's no doubt, and of course location plays a role into that. You're going to get a little bump from location, but if a home is really, really well taken care of and staged, there's no doubt it can add a considerable amount of value.
I have a question to go with that question. We've been talking with different builders, developers, and they've talked about creating a home together with Alice Lane. And they said, let's do the whole thing, soup to nuts. You guys do the furniture, everything. Let's sell the whole thing.
I'll buy it.
Oh, awesome. Let's do the whole thing furnished. And we, my brother called his real estate friend and said, what are your thoughts on this? Here's what we're thinking. Here's the amount of money we're looking at spending on the lot and the build and the design and everything else. And they said, selling a home fully furnished isn't going to add anything to the price point. That's basically a gift. What are your thoughts on selling your home furnished?
That's a great question. So we've sold many homes furnished.
Yeah.
I'm actually shocked at the amount of people that want to buy furnished homes.
Me too.
Yeah.
I mean, unless
a lot
it's
of people.
new, right? But used furniture.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Used furniture. It's, once again, I'm shocked at how many people will do it. Now, also, when you're talking about homes that you'd be creating and designing, right? You're a different level. A lot of those homes have barely been lived in.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases.
Yeah.
And we see it all the time where furniture is negotiated into the price. There's no doubt about it. So I think it absolutely does work. And talking about you actually designing the home, I know what you do, and you do it incredibly well. Everything that you do, there would be a reason for it. So I can see an incredible amount of reason why somebody would want to purchase that home with you designing it and putting brand spanking new furniture in it. There's no doubt about it. I think it would be huge. And there are people looking for that. People are valuing time today.
Yeah. Amen.
Interesting.
The time and energy and heartache in some cases that it goes into
Lead times.
right?
honestly.
There are so many people out there, and we talked about this earlier, where there's so much money in the market right now. I'm telling you, you're onto something. People would love to walk into an Alice Lane home and move in.
Okay.
Interesting.
Special project.
I know. Special project
Yes.
Another one.
That's awesome. The next question is from Sav Kawapua. She asked, best tips for a young married couple with a tight budget on starting to save for a home.
Yeah, so saving. I'll tell you what, people spend money today because Netflix, we talked about earlier as a joke, $15 a month. Paramount, all these things add up. Before you know it, if you really look at it, a lot of people are spending $700, $800, $900, maybe $2,000 on certain things throughout an entire month that you really, really don't need. So I would suggest taking a good look at what you utilize. I did it myself. Some of those apps are $9, $10 a month, whatever the case is. I wiped them all out last weekend. Literally, my kids came home and were like, Dad, where'd so-and-so go? I'm like, you never watch it. But Dad, it's only this much. So we had a conversation about that. Well, this much adds up to $1,000 to $2,000 a year. You're looking at upwards of maybe $12,000 to $24,000 a year you could save on little things like that.
Yeah.
Eating out less. All of those things add up. And I think that they'll find too, as a young couple, it can be fun to figure out different ways to save. I would suggest talking to your real estate agent and finding a lender so that you know exactly what you're going to need to come to the table with. And then you can back in your budget and say, okay, we're spending money here. We don't need to do that anymore. Because buying a home it's always the American dream, and it's awesome. So cut those little things that you spend money on. Starbucks, my gosh, people spend thousands of dollars a year. You might need to cut that out a little bit and drink some more water. But in all seriousness, those things add up to more than we can ever imagine.
I guess we can just go national average, but what would you think for like an FHA loan or something like that? What would you imagine someone needs to save like on a national? Like you were saying earlier, it's like 450,000
something thousand. I mean, that's across the board.
So we're looking like 30 to 40,000.
Yeah,
For a down payment.
there are some good programs out there right now that aren't requiring as much, but you have to have low debt. So it goes back to that saving question. One more thing I want to jump in there is don't have high car payments. They kill people from buying homes.
Interesting.
Don't do the car thing. Just be frugal. Drive your same car right now before you buy a home. But I would say that you probably need anywhere from $30,000 to $40,000 is probably very realistic. Okay. Once again, there are some programs out there that can help you. So go to your state's website. There are programs for first-time home buyers out there that are actually rebates. So take a good look at that and ask your lender about that. They'll know about it as well. So there are programs out there that can definitely help.
Is there things that our kids should be doing to build their credit so that they'll be able to qualify for a better loan? Like right now, like I feel really bad, but my freshman in college doesn't have a credit card.
Right.
She hasn't ever had one. And we're talking to somebody who's like, oh, you should have done that while they were in high school. They should be using a credit card and paying it off and building their credit. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what have I done as a parent? How come I didn't think about that?
How could you? My child had one at 6. No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding.
His credit score's
wow.
800.
Yeah,
He's 16.
right? He's 16.
You just bought a 10,000.
Jeez, what are you and Adam doing? No, I personally believe in paying that card off every month. Look, I'm not a lender. A lender would be a better person to answer the question, but I do know from helping our own clientele out. Getting a credit card, I personally don't think in high school I would do that either. I think college is a good time.
Yeah.
It's all about making sure it's under 50%, right? So it's not about up and down. Credit's a game. Sometimes you can't even win it. It depends on your ratios. It depends how many cards you have. If you have a credit card, say they have their first credit card for $1,000, right? If you're spending $200 and $300 on it, I know that you want to keep a little bit on there. Actually, paying it off can affect your credit. Believe it or not, it makes no sense whatsoever.
That happened to me when I was 20, and I was like, I'm going to pay this off, and my credit score is going to go up. And then I like checked it to like
You're 400. No,
I was like, it's like, oh, it went down. So I was like, what? It's like because you paid that off. I was like,
right. It makes no sense.
Don't you
whatsoever.
want me to pay it rather than default on it? But it
keep
doesn't.
$50. Yeah, keep $50 on there. Get it up to $500. Pay it down. Keep a little bit on there. Because that's what they're doing is they're seeing a cycle. From what I understand, I'm not a lender. They're trying to see a cycle of proof that you're paying your payments on time.
Got it.
But it's not a bad idea. It's pretty simple to build up credit. It really, truly is. It's not that challenging. So a card would be a good start. You're behind the 8 ball on that one, but you can get. I know you can take care of that.
It's not too late.
It's never too late to get your kid in
Jane,
bed.
you're going to get a house. You betcha.
That's awesome. The next question is from Kelly Wilcox. She asks, is it worth the money to update or renovate a rental as the owner?
That's great. So update it to continue to rent as a rental property.
Yes.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. So look, your typical lifespan of a home before it starts looking a little aged is about 10 to 12 years, right? The next step into that is 20 years. At 20 years, you start having real problems. You're replacing 20 to 25 roofs, HVAC systems, plumbing because of issues, so on and so forth. There is no doubt about it. Look at your local market. What's that?
I said I hear that.
Yeah, right?
Sue just had an emergency
1971.
remodel.
Oh, did you really? Little plumbing issue?
Roof, HVAC, 2 bathrooms all within a year.
Oh my gosh, do you know what I'm talking about?
Exactly. Okay.
She was on.
Preaching to the choir.
She was on septic.
We just tied in. I know. Cowboys.
She just
They were
tied
cowboys.
it in. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Anyway, another episode.
Who knew?
Keep
Who
going.
knew?
I know.
So what are we talking? Oh, remodels.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people have a hard time thinking, oh, I'm going to spend $60,000 to $70,000 on a remodel. It's worth it. It gets you to the next 10 years. But more importantly, it's all about, look, you're buying an investment property as an investment and for cash flow purposes, right? The odds of you getting higher rents after remodeling that house are extremely high. So you're going to get more rents for it. Are you going to get your return back immediately? No, but you're going to get a massive write-offs at the end of the year. depreciation, write-offs, all those things that come with the benefit of buying and why people buy rental properties. It's huge. Absolutely invest in the property. Here's one thing I would suggest. It's my personal opinion. If you're going to do it, do it. Do all of it. Don't do, well, I'm going to do the bathrooms and the countertops this year. Just do it. Go get it completely remodeled. There's a lot of loans out there right now. It's a little bit more challenging to get HELOCs right now. Interest rates are high, which is kind of challenging for that. I guess the answer is if you can afford to do a remodel on a property when it starts to get worn, two things happen in remodels. When things start to get worn, anything that we have, a car, whatever you have, what typically happens to it? How are things treated when they start to look old? They're not treated as well. Your tenant is going to treat it as well. You pull in that new tenant because you had to empty the home for 4 months. You did the remodel. The likelihood of those people taking really, really good care of that home are much higher.
That's great.
So you're going to get that. Point. You're going to get higher rents out of it. And keep in mind, the one thing too is you never know when you're going to sell. You never know when you're going to do a 1031 exchange and find a property somewhere else. If it's remodeled, you're getting top dollar. So 100% all about it.
Yep. Great. Yep. I love that.
This is a question I thought of while you're answering that. But if you're going to sell a home, do you recommend spending like the non-sexy money? So like water heater, furnace, you know what I mean? Like, does that play into someone purchasing a home?
No, that's a great idea. If those items are about tapped out, like a furnace, right? It's 20 years old. Two things that you can do. One is I would suggest having a home inspector come to your house, and your agent will know to do this before you list your property when they're older.
Good idea.
Absolutely. You have your furnace cleaned before the inspection process. So that's going to tell you the answer to your question. They're going to come and say, look, this thing's on its last leg. I would highly advise, if you can afford it, to go ahead and do those things. You're $5, $6, $7 grand for heating furnace, right? You're another $1,500 for a
water heater,
so on and so forth. If you can afford it, I would do it. Someone that's buying a home, it's all about how do they feel in that home? Do they see a project in that home? A lot, especially if you're in that first to second home phase of selling your property, do the buyers have the $15,000 or $18,000 to invest in those things right when they buy a home? We just talked about how hard it is to save up $30,000 or $40,000 today, right? If you can do those things, you're going to get top dollar. Here's what you're doing by doing that. You're giving them less negotiating power. You hold the keys to it. Go ahead down the street and tell me what you're going to find. You're going to find the next neighbor that did not invest in those things. So you're going to get top dollar. I 100% believe in doing it. Now, if your HVAC person comes in during that inspection process and says, you know what, for $1,200, we can install X, Y, Z, right? And you're going to get another 3 or 4 years. Absolutely. Just make sure that your agent lets them notify, hey, we just spent $1,300. Here's the receipt. And you should be good for, a few more years. So,
cool.
Yep. Good advice.
Super smart.
Is it a good decision to buy a home today?
Oh, baby. I'm in real estate. Of course it is. No, I'm just kidding.
My phone number is.
Yeah. Hold on, my girl. No, I'm totally playing. I'm not that guy at all. Yes, and let me tell you why. I don't personally believe, and this is not Rob talking, this is talking to top agents all over the country. We have lack of inventory. We're hearing the same things day in, day out, right? Yeah. And it's true. We do have these things. So I don't think the prices are going to come down. Let me tell you why it is a good time to buy real estate today. And I love sharing this with people. You have two things. One is right now you can negotiate. Homes are not selling for the most part, they're not selling for top dollar. If you're overpriced, you're going to see a price reduction. Right now, you have two things going for you. Sellers are willing to do, are you familiar with the buy downs that are happening, right? 3-1 buy downs, 2-1 buy downs?
Never heard of it.
Okay. So what's happening right now is, say your mortgage is going to be $3,000, right? Oh, darn, that's a $3,000 mortgage. It's 7.2% interest rate. The buyers, the seller's going to say, okay, I'm going to prepay. People think that it's an actual rate adjustment. So you're going to have 5.8% for 1 year. You're going to have 6.4% the second year. And then the third year, it's going to go back to your fixed rate of, we'll call it 7.2%. You're actually not getting that rate. What they're doing is pre-funding the loan in order to buy that. They're basically paying for your mortgage for 24 or 36 months. So they're paying that difference. If it's $3,000, oh great, now it's $2,500. Sweet, we can afford $2,500. They're covering the extra $500 a month.
Make sure I get a raise next year.
You got it. And really, and the reality is that you're hoping that rates will drop, and we're pretty confident they're going to be better than they are today. So you have that going for you right now. You can ask for that, right? That can be anywhere from $15,000 to $40,000 depending on the price point of your home.
Yeah.
You can also negotiate on price. So you have two factors that you're able to do right now. Yes, there's markets where you're getting multiple offers, but for the most part, you're not seeing that right now. So you're able to go and say, okay, seller, your home's been on the market 72 days. We love your home. We want to make it ours and we want to buy it, but we need your help. So would you do a 2-1 buy down? Can you help us with $20-some thousand? And by the way, we noticed that your furnace isn't updated and those types of things. So we're going to ask for $40,000 more off. Great. So now that $700,000 is a roughly $640,000 home. The second that rates drop into those fives, those two things that I just told you are gone. There's no more negotiating room. Prices are going to go back up. The buy down thing is over because there's no reason for it anymore.
Yeah.
And you're going to have multiple offers. So it is absolutely an awesome time to buy a home right now.
Pocket right now.
Interesting.
Right now you can
Very
negotiate. Once that power's gone, you're going to see
Subject to the wolves.
subject to the wolves. So prepare yourself.
There we
Yes.
go. Okay.
The next question is from Susan Hutch Harris. She asks, how can couples afford their first home with today's interest rates and prices?
Save. No, in all seriousness. So one thing to do is look at maybe buying a property that is a little bit lower price point than you originally thought. And I know that's a challenge in today's market. Here's one thing I know about selling real estate.
Yeah.
If someone starts looking at homes that are more expensive than what they can afford, trying to find them a home of one they can't afford is the biggest challenge in the world,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
You can
Yeah.
imagine, oh, I'm going to get this. Actually, you're not.
Yeah.
But look at it differently. Look
Yeah.
at it as your first home and look at it, if you buy in the right location, as a long-term investment. So maybe think of it a little bit differently. Okay, we're in a home. Great, we're in the real estate. We get all the perks of owning real estate. We get a write-off on our taxes, depreciation, all of these things, and then turn that property into a rental property, continue to save your money, and then go buy that home that you've really been hoping to buy.
Really
Would you say if it's your first time home and you can't afford the home that you really want, is one of the pieces of advice you would give them is take a little bit less desirable location so that the house is more affordable, or stay with that location, take a less desirable house?
I would stay in that location. It's always location.
Yeah.
It's the most boring thing you could say in real estate. I promise you it's the most. I have watched homes sell in certain places thinking, oh my goodness, I cannot believe someone just paid. It's all location. It's because they can walk to the beach. They can walk to whatever amenities are in their community that people are drawn to. And that's the key. Absolutely go with the lower priced home, but stay in that location.
Now, here's a question really specifically for Utah. You live in Park City. It's all the buzz. It's the number one place to live right now for the state of Utah, also the most expensive. Would you say buy in Heber, or would you say buy in Park City?
So if you're going to live there full time,
Yeah.
Park City is amazing. The traffic is doubled. It's an incredible place to live. That's a tough call. I would move to Heber. I've moved to Heber and Midway, and there's a lot of upside left in
Because those
Heber
are
and Midway.
still considered location,
They're
or
just
they
on the
will
outskirts.
become location.
Oh, they are becoming locations right now. Yes.
So if you have a becoming location, then we
Absolutely.
would break the rule for
Yep,
that.
you make and Camas is another one.
Yeah.
Camas is, oh my goodness, that beautiful little
So
farm town
beautiful.
is gorgeous.
So
And you're about 14 minutes outside of Park City. Midway, Deer Valley, you're about 20 minutes to. Not 20 minutes to Main Street necessarily, but you're in town.
to go around.
You're there. Yeah, you got to go around. But there's a lot of upside in buying in those communities. You're not dealing with the traffic. You're not dealing with the ski traffic.
Yeah.
Summer traffic has now become a thing up there, right?
Yeah.
But yet, when you want to go, you're 20
We
minutes
still
away.
have some amenities in Midway.
Absolutely.
You know?
It's only getting
Darling.
better.
It's so
and
cute.
it's just as beautiful or more. It's
Some
incredible.
little pocket
Yeah,
in
so
the Alps.
anything on the
Swiss Alps, I
outskirts.
feel like. It's so beautiful.
Yep, no doubt.
They have some good restaurants too. Like,
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I love
Yeah.
the little Main Street.
Have you ever been to Sammy's Bistro in Park City?
It's the local spot, buddy.
Okay, just making
It
sure.
is,
Just
yeah.
making
Like,
sure.
Sammy's
he's like,
is-
he's invested in it.
Sammy's
Sorry.
that's
He's
the only
all-
place to go.
he goes twice a
It's
week.
so good. Their steak and Fritz, buddy, is the best out there.
So good, yeah. I get Chavito Club. But,
Oh, and you
yeah.
got to get their barbecue shrimp. What else do you want to know about
I'll
Sammy's?
do that next time. I guess you have been. The next question is from Cheryl Villar. She asks how to keep your designs unique and also timeless.
You
know what? That's an Alice Lane question.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know, is there something real estate wise that there's a thing that's important to us, of course, which is eventually the finished product. It'd be cool if it got published. If you do a white kitchen, nobody really cares about publishing it because we've all seen a million white kitchens. So that's the design side. But for the real estate side, is there, of the 5 things that the wife wants in a home, is one of them a white kitchen?
Right now, I think it is. Although we're starting to see a trend. You would tell me, you could tell more than I could, but we're starting to see more color.
Yes.
Like the navy blues.
Yes.
So I'm actually excited after this to talk to you and ask you those questions, because we're starting to see slight change, and you're the ones making the change, right?
Yeah.
But I just think that the white, here's the thing about the white kitchen now. It's in every price point of home.
Yeah.
Yes.
From $500,000 to $4 million are white kitchens.
Yeah.
So the big part of buying your home, you alluded to it earlier, is making it your own. How is that your own? I think we talked about it either on this or earlier in the podcast, but you created that home and it didn't, they said it's not us. That's because you just did what every model looks like in America.
Yeah.
From east to west coast, they're the same exact thing, the same exact flooring. It's just all the same. So adding a little creativity is not a bad thing. And we did talk about you can go too far.
Yeah.
That's almost exotic. Too far is exotic, right?
Yeah.
If you're thinking about reselling your home.
Yeah.
No, I think adding different color and twists, that's what makes a home unique. That's why people buy them.
Yeah. I feel like the unique and timeless thing, if it's done in good taste, it will sell.
Of
right?
course, no
like,
doubt about
it's
it.
done in good taste, and like, there's some spaces you might be more opinionated and it can be more unique. But if it's done in a timeless way and kind of just avoid trends, but like look at classic design.
I also think like great big windows and having a lot of daylight is going to make it feel light and bright, but
Light
you
is
don't
everything.
have to have a white kitchen, right?
Light is
like
everything.
if you're showing a home, do you like run through and like pull up all the blinds so that it's just like bright and fresh looking?
Absolutely. If it's you mean if I'm listing a property, my clients know that everyone's pulled up before showing. Absolutely.
I wondered that.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Because light changes the feel in a home.
Yeah.
Paint colors, as you know better than me, show differently in different light.
Very.
So marketing real estate is very interesting. It's not, if you're doing it well, there's actually a lot that goes into thinking about it.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
The next question is from Still Waters, Glen Lake. They ask, they say their basement flooring, their basement flooring needs replacing, and they're getting ready to sell their house. Should they replace it, or should they have the buyer replace it?
That's an awesome question. We're talking about how not to be neutral just a minute ago. I would absolutely do it. 100% do it. Neutral color. In that case, you want neutral, right? You want something that the majority of the population is like, this works. I can create around this. That's what it comes down to. I can create, absolutely invest. Once again, selling a home is all about how someone feels when they walk into it. Does it feel clean? Does it smell great? Is it bright? Am I going to have to redo? We just sold a home recently that we had I told you the doors were painted. We also painted the entire inside of the house, had all the flooring done. They'd lived there for 15 years and sells like that. Yep. 100%.
Also gets that new house smell because you have new floors, new paint.
That's emotional.
Yeah.
It's emotional. And then and
Smells
properties like that,
new.
we do booties, right? You do booties and instantly it's clean.
Yeah.
It's all, selling a house is not just how you feel. It's your senses. It is all about smell, and it really, it's fascinating.
You should bake cookies too.
I like the idea of like,
Don't burn
hey,
them.
please put on the booties, because then people are like, oh,
You got
they
it.
really care about this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
also that basement
I
you
like
just
that.
talked about has a new basement smell because there's new floors, right? Otherwise it's old basement, and then they kind of devalue it, and then they start negotiating on price where it sits on the market longer, right?
It's now downstairs. It's not the basement.
That's right. Open those blinds. It'll be bright.
And the other thing I suggest too, just a little extra tidbit, is if you're going to redo those floors, don't put everything that you had in there. That's your chance. You're going to have to clear it out anyway. Clear it out and leave it out.
Yeah.
That way they know it's truly brand spanking new.
Yeah.
Yep.
To the point, I think it sounded like they already did the floors on the main level, or like they're now doing the basement. Make sure it's consistent. Like nobody wants a patchwork.
Yep.
So,
Also, can I add this note?
Yeah.
Don't do the VCT. Is that what it's called?
LVT.
LVT.
LVP.
Don't do that. It sounds like a gym. It smells wrong.
Especially in the
sounds
basement.
like a procedure.
There,
And it's going to be empty.
Oh my gosh.
technically it is a procedure.
And it doesn't feel
You know what?
feel
There are so
expensive.
many different
and
kinds
noise
and
is
options out
bouncing
there.
around.
Yeah, there's a lot of options out there that they're not like, they're actually pretty good nowadays. There's different levels that you're going to purchase. You're exactly right. There's some out there that look pretty darn close to new. I'm sorry, and it's pretty close to hardwood these days.
Good.
You almost can't detect it.
That's good. Acoustically, though.
Yes.
Back
Totally
to our
changed.
senses. You know what I mean? Like
changed.
sound is just bouncing around. and
Absolutely.
where wood floor absorbs sound, you know?
Absolutely. No, I know exactly what you're talking about. I think a lot of that in the last, say, 5 years has been resolved.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's actually, I'm
There's like
very
a new
impressed.
product too that's kind of like an engineered wood floor,
Yes.
like for basements. As far as like that help resolve the flooding
And then you have
issue.
leveler too that they put down to ensure that you
Yeah.
don't get. Back in the day, I know what you're talking about. You'd walk and there would be a little bit of
There's a hollow
lull,
little
bonk. Yeah, you're
sound.
walking like this. That's what it sounds.
It's
That's
like
gone.
wood floor stickers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Exactly.
much better product.
Yeah.
The next question is from Deb for Days. It's a good question.
Cute.
What
It's
is
a good
the
name.
I
Yes.
know,
Deb
Deb
for
for
days. And that's gonna be stuck in my head.
with Stillwater.
what what is the best strategy to negotiate a lower price?
I'll tell you what it is. It's figuring all these little things that we've talked about. If they haven't done it, that's where you go after it. If you know that heater is
Water
10, 12,
heater.
13 years old, if you know they haven't kept the property up well, if you know the roof is going to, you've only got 3 or 4 more years. Typically negotiating, for example, in an inspection, if you have more than 3 years on a roof left, you can't do too much. It's this 3 years, right? But have your agent look at that inspection report with you and understand where you can add value, because a lot of it you can see, but you can get quite a bit back during an inspection report. We've had credits upwards of $15,000 to $20,000 because we're going to walk away if you either don't take care of those items or let us take care of them. So, once again, if you want top dollar for your property, it's all how that property feels the second you open the door. And when someone hasn't done all those little things that we've been talking about the last hour, that's when you have negotiating power as an agent on the other side for the buyer.
When I was buying my first home, I felt like the real estate agent. I don't even remember his name because I didn't call him back. That's why.
Is that good?
Yeah, exactly. I just felt he was more interested in just us getting us into a home and closing the sale than really being like an advocate for us. So maybe what are some things that someone should like look for in a real estate agent, or
Great
some
question.
questions that they should ask?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's an awesome question. So there's a couple things. One is new agents simply don't know enough. However, they also deserve a chance. There's a lot of young agents out there that are going to be really, really good at what they do, right? So you always want an agent that's been in business for a while. I'm not saying don't utilize an agent, because here's where a new agent can come in. Say it's a friend, right? It's a new agent. If they're brand spanking new, ask them to partner up. Say, look, I want to work with you, but have them partner up with a seasoned agent. You're going to win. They're going to win. They get an opportunity to sell a home. You want to give them that opportunity, but make sure that they have a mentor. That's the biggest thing. There's a lot of new agents out there, and they're wonderful. We were all one. I was one at once, right? It's scary. It's hard. But the longer you're in the business, if you can have it, the best of the best, go find an agent that's been in business. I always like to find agents. I do it in my own business. I don't want an agent on my team around the country. We have over 100 agents that work for us. I don't want an agent necessarily. They're not bad. Don't get me wrong. That sells 90 homes a year. I'm all about how I feel I'm being treated, no different than what you were just talking about. A good moderate agent that closes 15, 25, 30 homes is I typically find is that agent is going to give you a little bit more love, right? That more white glove treatment that we talked about a while ago. Yeah, a little bit of hand holding. But there's also those agents that have been in the business 30 and 40 years, and there's a reason. They're really, really good at what they do. They know everything that's out there. So my suggestion would be to interview 3 agents minimum.
Great
They'll all
advice.
come to your house.
advice.
They'll all meet and get that list of questions. You can go online, by the way, and find what are the top 10 questions to ask a real estate agent when interviewing them, and ask them all those questions. And you're going to know by the feel. Look, here's the thing. If you found a new agent that's passionate and is going to do everything they can to take care of you, use them. Just make sure they have a mentor supporting them. That's all. And there's every brokerage has mentors. You got to take new agents and build them. No different than any other business out there. Interview 3 and see how you feel. And once again, no different than walking to that house and seeing how you feel when you open the door. The same thing's going to apply when you find that agent. I'm not saying don't use a new agent, just making sure that they have someone supporting them to give you the correct information you need to make accurate decisions.
Everything is energy, right?
It's all energy.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
That's why Handsome Rob is so good. He's got good energy.
There you go.
The next question is from Design File Warrior. She asks, what are the non-negotiable things that you need to sell a luxury home?
What are the non-negotiable things? Sorry, I don't understand that question. What non-negotiable?
In order to sell
Oh, in
a
order to sell,
luxury
like
home.
what are the must-haves?
Yes.
I'm taking her
In
question
order to
backwards.
sell a luxury home. I think you were
I
talking
think-
earlier about the home office thing
Yeah.
at this point.
Home offices are key. A lot of homes don't have them. So if you don't have them, I like
Convert.
your idea of saying, look, no one's using that
Formal
Dining
formal
room.
dining area
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
Let's convert that, and it's an as-or. I mean, it's an either-or,
Yeah.
meaning put French doors on it, and you've got an option for people because that's key, right?
Yep.
Selling a luxury home, they've got to be, here's the thing about luxury homes, they've got to be extremely well-maintained. When you're buying your first or second home, I don't want to say you got to take what you can get kind of a thing, but you're kind of in that.
Kinda do.
I'm not saying that you're going to buy a beater because that's all you can afford, but you're not going to be as particular. You're getting into that second home. You're excited. You're getting to your first home. We can fix these things. That's fun. You can do it on the weekends, right? In the space that we're talking about with that question, though, you're talking about big bucks to have to fix things, repair things, remodel. In some cases, you could be $1 million or more dollars. So I think it's real. Maintenance is key. Going back to the question we had a few minutes ago, you can't imagine how many properties that we go in that are $2, $3, $4, $5 million and they're not well maintained. The heaters haven't been cleaned in 3 years. All of those things matter. And I'll give you my biggest tip. This has nothing to do with what you asked, but no one cleans the top of their water heater or their HVAC system.
It's true.
I can tell you how old it is by how much dust is on it,
Mhm.
and that's gross. People feel if you've taken care of a home, and it really comes down to answer her question, it really comes down to the care of the home more than it does anything. People are willing to still, if they have the funds and they want to remodel it, if that home feels good to them, meaning it's well maintained, it's cared for, the windows are spotless, the landscaping is perfect, they can feel it, they'll invest in it. That makes sense.
Yep.
Yep.
The next question is from Mrs. A. Griffiths. She asks, how to gauge pricing yourself out of your neighborhood with updates?
That's
it's a solid question.
great
That is a
question.
solid question.
Yep.
Oh, wow. That's
how to
an awesome one.
invest.
That
Yeah.
is a phenomenal question. So here's the thing. If you have a market that has, if you have a neighborhood that has a lot of turnover, I'll say like South Jordan, Utah.
Yeah.
It's just, people are moving in, they're upgrading. There's a lot going on, right?
Yeah, it's transient.
It's a transient
Yeah.
community, right? People are putting roots down, but they're also leaving. So this is a great question. Congratulations on your awesome question. You won. I'm not sure what you won, but you won something.
You won Dear Rob.
Gold star.
A dinner with dear Rob. That's funny. So you want to do all the little things that we've been talking about. You don't want to go too far, though. So for an example, if your neighborhood's an $800,000 price point, right? You don't want to go spend $200,000 remodeling your home. You will never get those monies back. But you could probably spend $75,000 and push that $800,000 neighborhood to maybe $850,000, $875,000. So you can still push the comps in the neighborhood by doing the right remodels. What you don't want to do is go put in a pickleball court. There's a great, right? That's a perfect example.
Yeah.
Don't go invest in something like that. Don't go put a pool in an $800,000 neighborhood. You're not going to get your money back. That would be overspending. You're handing that as a gift to someone when you sell it. But what you can do are those soft remodels, the kitchen, update the kitchen to the different colors we're talking about, redo all the cabinetry, or at least reface it. We use someone that repaints cabinetry today, and they'll take Aldi Naughter cabinets, and they look brand spanking new. They actually take out the Aldi Naughter, and they look completely modern for a few $1,000s. Those are the things that you can do without going crazy.
Yeah.
And it refreshes the house. It's unbelievable.
Here's a question to that. One of the trends I keep seeing in my own neighborhood is people going crazy on the yard. And they are buying additional land in the forest preserve, and they're making the pickleball court. They're raising up their backyards, and they're putting in, what are those called? Splash yard.
Splash pads.
My next door neighbor just did the splash pad for the grandkids. I'm talking hundreds and hundreds of thousands.
If not $1 million.
Yeah.
I know plenty of clients that have spent $1 million on their yards.
If you put it in the yard, does that become a gift, or can you get the value out of the house for having more land and extraordinary yard?
So more land, you're actually not going to get more land. If they, like, I know where you're talking about.
Yeah.
The city owns that.
Right. Yeah. They bought it.
You're
from
not
the
getting
city.
more land. Well, you're not technically getting more land, but you're getting more usable
Amenities,
square footage
yes.
out of that
Yeah.
land.
Right.
So in the reality, yes, you are getting, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
You're taking something that was not of use that you owned,
Yeah.
and now you're bringing it into a usable asset to sell one day, right?
Right.
So to answer your question, I would say that you might not get the return. It depends how long you've had it. If they have that splash pad and stay there for 5, 6, 7, 8 years,
Oh, for sure.
great.
Price
Yeah,
please. They've already
If you're
won.
going to use it in 2 years,
Right.
you're handing them a gift.
Yeah.
I can tell you how many
Okay.
clients have had put pools in. They've literally handed pools to people. Thank you so much for buying my home at this top price. No, you just got a $400,000
Gift
home
with
for free.
purchase.
Gift
Yeah.
with
Yes.
purchase, yes.
So it really does come down to time, how long you're going to stay in that home. That's one thing I'd be really, really cautious of. I've seen more and more people spend a lot of money like that, and then they're like, oh gosh, life changes, life happens, right?
Yeah.
And 2 years later they leave, and they're like, well, I wanted 2.4 for it. We just put 500,000. That's awesome. It doesn't mean anything. Literally, we'll tell
hope you had
clients,
so
we're
much
straight
fun
up with
back
them. It doesn't. It might help you. It's an asset to the home, so it might help you sell it quicker.
Yeah.
And for the price that it should sell for, it is not going to get you the price that you want for it.
So the real estate agent should not plan on asking more for the home because they have a new pool
No,
when they're pricing it.
you can try it once again. So it's all market driven.
Yeah.
Right now, today, you can probably get away with it in that price point. There's no inventory. When things do switch, when those rates fall and people start putting their homes in the market, you just leveled yourself, meaning there's no value
You
to
get
it.
off the bench.
Yep, you got it.
Ooh, it's like going to Las Vegas.
I know.
Right? Yeah,
This
it's
is very
totally
just
going to
like
Las Vegas,
rolling the
right?
dice.
It's like
Yeah.
it's a gamble.
Very exciting. Okay.
Rolling 7.
Foxy Wilcoxy. It's a great
Foxy
name.
Wilcoxy.
They asked, is it worth having a rental property if you only profit a few $100s a month?
That's another great question.
Yeah.
I
like
would
a few
say the
$100 a
answer
month,
is absolutely 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once again, investment properties are not necessarily all about, it's nice when you can make that residual income, right? But it's more about the write-off that you get, depreciation, all those things. So you're really not getting a couple $100s a month, depending on the price point. Let's say it's a $350,000 townhome. You're probably more like getting $400, $500, $600 a month. When you look at it, you're not going to physically see it and be able to go buy your Starbucks in the morning, but you're going to get it taken off on your taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just over time, just like the
Over
the
time.
real
Absolutely.
estate kind of
And
value of
who's-
time.
you know, and then you have interest rates, right? When they do drop at some point, you're going to be able to refinance. You might do really well in your career and say, look, I'm going to take 200 and put it in the market. I'm going to take 200. I'm going to buy another property. I'm going to pay this one down another $100,000. Now I'm bringing in $1,500 a month. So there's all kinds of options. So the answer is absolutely 100%. However, I will always say it has to make sense at the beginning. You don't buy real estate to make sense down the road because you don't know what that's going to look like.
Yeah.
It still has to make sense.
Don't roll that dice.
It's got to be a smart play. Once again, we talked about this too.
Yeah.
People are getting really creative with how they're selling property now, and we're starting to see seller finances. So there's opportunity out there. I get so excited. I could sit here all night and talk to
I
you.
know. We have enough questions.
That's great. It says a lot about your podcast.
D&D's interior design, I think, is the handle.
Okay.
But they asked, how do you keep clients in budget?
Wow.
Do you have a
You
trick?
know what? You typically don't.
Please share, because I'm like,
can
I don't know
share.
how to either.
So I'll share a story from you.
I don't know.
I'll share a
market.
story.
Yeah.
It's so funny. One of my dearest clients, I love him to death. I think we've sold 6, 7 homes here in Utah to him.
Oh my gosh.
And he's amazing. He wanted to buy an investment property. I'm like, let's do this. So we went out in the west side of the valley, built a brand new home. I'm going to use the name John for purposes, so not his real name.
Johnny. Okay.
Like, John, you got to stop. Like, this is an investment property. This is what we do. Let us help you. You can do in investment properties. You want to do kind of everything that we're talking about, that white and all that stuff. That's great for investment property. It's perfect. People just want something new to move into.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we went to the design studio, and his wife, who's his wife now, was his girlfriend at the time. We're literally like, I'm holding him back. I have reins on him. He is buying everything that he can for this house. I'm like, bud, this is a rental property. Let
Puts
me
on
help
the
you.
gas, just
He
hardcore.
spent $250,000 in upgrades on a $650,000 home, and he wouldn't stop.
Lucky them.
He got lucky because we sold it in 2022, I think, and he did okay. But he would have done just as well if he did 50,000 upgrades. So be really, really cautious.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm a big believer in investment properties. I love townhomes. There's two reasons. They're simple. They typically don't have yards to manage. There's an HOA, so you're kind of guaranteed that no matter who's in that property, the community is going to stay really, really nice, which keeps values up, right? So I'm a big believer in those. Single family residential is also awesome. There's different things that you're going to deal with through time with single family residential. But yeah, hopefully that answers the question.
Yes. The next one is from Haley Wentz, but it's like in a couple different bubbles. I'm like trying to put it together.
I believe in you.
When buying a house, knowing we want to resell in 3 years, to build our forever home, where would you invest money for resale? The house we are buying has amazing character and finish work, but the floors, bathrooms, and kitchen are all outdated. What would you prioritize? We only have $50,000 to update it. What is priority since we can't do it all?
Okay, so if I'm correct, there's two questions. What do we do to our current home, and what are we going to do to the new one we're going to buy? That's what I
No.
understood.
They're going to move in 3 years.
Yeah, they're going to buy this home. They're going to renovate it and move in 3 years. Where should they put that $50,000 in the new house?
In the new house. That's a great question.
Or no, in the old house.
In
Or
the
in
old
the
house.
current
No.
house, I guess.
See, that's where I was confused.
Sorry.
When
I heard it was
buying a house, knowing we want to resell it in 3
Okay,
years
okay.
To build our forever home, where would you invest the money? Yeah, they have $50,000.
Put into a home that they're buying now.
Yeah, so they're
and then
going to
gonna
sell
get
in 3
resale.
years.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. That's a great question. Absolutely. Kitchen and bathrooms. It's very basic. You've heard it a bunch, but it'll cost about $50,000 to do that. The other thing, the little things that you can do, and Jesse, you alluded to it early, like your hinges, your door handles, redo those. It freshens up a house.
Totally does.
Paint the front door. Put all new
hardware
on the
Cabinetry.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, and do those kitchens and bathrooms, and you're golden. And of course, carpet for $50,000, you can do carpet and
maybe
and flooring.
paint.
Maybe paint too.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are definitely, you can do that for $50,000 today for sure. And one thing on top of it, let me tell you, people that are doing remodels now, they're hungry for business.
Yep.
They aren't going to tell you. I recently did one and told you I had every person that I needed, every vendor that I needed, and could do it in 17 days. And some of them told me they'd been sitting around for 3 or 4 weeks with nothing to do.
Yes.
Tell me that's not a
My
change
gosh.
from 18 months ago.
You know what?
Where they're like, take a hike, I'll see you in a year. They don't have work. You can get great pricing. That $50,000 will go a long way.
So
Yeah.
true.
Done.
My brother's
Okay.
a builder, and I went to dinner with him 2 nights ago, and he said the exact same thing. He's doing new builds, and he was like, I couldn't believe it. I called my cabinet guy. Prices.
tomorrow.
He's like, I'm doing a master bath. I'm doing a new kitchen and other bathrooms. It would normally be $150,000 in cabinetry. Bids at $85,000, and he'll have it done in May.
Yes.
Yes.
Unbelievable. And that is in every
Subs-
trade.
Subs
wild.
are not as busy, and prices have come down.
No, and let me tell you
Yeah.
something else. Don't
In
take
Utah.
the price. Yeah, in Utah. And I think that's probably,
Probably.
Yeah.
across the country,
Oh, good.
nationwide.
Yeah.
Don't take the price that they're asking for.
Negotiate.
Negotiate.
Get
Get
bids.
multiple
bids.
bids.
Get bids.
Go get bids.
Yeah.
Before it was, in reality, the last 10 years. If you'll do it, I'll take it.
Yeah.
No. You go get 2 or
And
3
you're
bids.
thanking them.
They will drop their prices.
Please.
That $50,000 will literally go, what you were saying to your point, it's $100,000 18 months ago.
Yeah.
$50,000. They'll be able to do a ton with $50,000.
As long as you have time to manage that project
Yes.
and really do your homework, you're going to get a lot more for $50,000 than if you take the first bid.
Yeah, and you're going to get treated well. That was my biggest thing when we were building this building. It was like, yeah, I'll get you on our calendar in 9 months. It's like, what are you talking about? And then they're just kind of like brush you off. I'm like, oh, dude,
Like
you
they're
just
doing
wait.
you a favor.
Because I built cabinets and doors in
It's-
2007, and I
It's
knew what was
here.
Yeah.
It is here,
Yep.
and it is. There are a lot of people that unfortunately will not be in business because we all know being in business, you got to take care of people
Mhm.
all the time.
Yep.
And if you can't
The
do it, just be
people
honest.
business.
But yeah, get bids. I'm excited for them. They're going to do great.
I
They
know.
are going to do
I
great.
bet she could do her flooring too if she shops.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe does it. I don't know.
Just put
Yeah.
put some boundaries up.
So that was the end of the questions. But
Awesome.
before we started recording the podcast, we were
Yes.
talking about Airbnbs and maybe the opportunity that might be hitting us in
great
2 to 3
question.
years.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that.
To all the Airbnbs.
All right. So this is Rob's opinion.
Okay.
So whatever
Rob,
you want to
hot take from Rob.
That for hot take from Rob.
Yeah.
This is just my opinion, but I believe so. You have a lot of people, thousands that purchased Airbnb properties in 2000. What we call it, 19, 20, 21.
Yeah.
Prices were going up. Some overpaid dramatically. Most you could still put because interest rates were fairly low. They were creeping up. So you have some people got in at 2.8, but most I'm going to say gotten their investment properties 5 and 6.
5, yeah.
And the bottom of Airbnbs dropped out when COVID went away because people could travel the world again, get back to their more normal lifestyle, not driving 4 hours to vacation, going to Europe, going to wherever their travel destination is. And I think that you have a lot of people sitting at home right now, and maybe it's their spouse or partner looking and said, wait a minute, honey, you told me we're going to make so much money buying this condo in Naples, Florida, or Park City, Utah, or wherever you're, Bend, Oregon, all these wonderful places and destinations. And we've been writing $3,000 and $4,000 checks a month now for 9 months. because we're making, $2,500, whatever it is. I really, really believe if you hang tight for the next 2 to 3 years, I see that market. I see that second home market. It's not a second home. A second home market is for people that can actually afford to own a second home. It's a destination home. It's the cabin that you're going to build, so on and so forth. These are people that strictly bought as an investment for Airbnbs in hopes that Airbnb would continue to click like it is. And I don't see it happening. I think that we're going to see a lot of real estate, that kind of real estate. It's not, maybe not single family as much, condos and resort communities by the ocean, ski resorts in the desert, so on and so forth. I think that we are going to see them come on I think it's going to be unbelievable in 2 to 3 years. My opinion, it's just the research I've done, how I feel. I think if you hang tight, there's going to be an awesome opportunity in 2 to 3 years to buy properties like that. And a lot of that's going to be your condos and townhome properties, but in really, really cool locations.
So a great first home for somebody looking to buy.
And great first-time home buyer, and great for that person that wants a long-term rental, because now the numbers are going to make more sense, right?
Yeah.
So you have two things. I believe prices are going to drop on that product, not single family. I'm not saying I don't think that's going to happen. You got a better price that you're getting it for. By then, interest rates are certainly going to drop. Now the property makes sense. But be ready, save your money like we talked about earlier, because there's going to be a flood of people. Americans have cash right now. There's a lot of money on the bench. Companies are going to be buying. Corporations will be going back to buying those up like crazy. So make sure you get a great real estate agent that knows that particular market really, really well and can start showing you when that trend's going to be occurring. Because you want to be on the front. You always want to be on the front of a trend. There's no way to know. Otherwise, we'd all be wealthy and off living on the beach somewhere. But a good agent can absolutely show you the numbers. Well, there were 13 of these on the market last year. There's 43 on the market right now, and we're seeing 10 to 15% price reductions before they go into contract. So just watch those trends and then jump in. I think there's gonna be awesome opportunity.
That's so hopeful. Start dreaming. Start dreaming.
Juicy
People.
hot
Where
take.
do you want to live?
We'll give you an address to send the tips in.
Exactly.
That's amazing. You guys, how lucky are we to hear from Handsome Rob? That's
so
thanks.
fun.
So
That's very kind. Well, I
good.
appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks so much for coming.
Rob
We'll have him back
Corcoran
next quarter.
from Influence Relocation. We're so excited to have learned from you and all your years of experience. Thank you for listening to Dear Alice. If you guys have any questions for us, please send them to dearalice@alicelanehome.com, and we will catch you next time. Hey, thanks for listening. If you like our show, please leave a 5-star rating.